Hello there, and welcome back to another bonus video. So today I'm going to be covering my second week worth of Inktober drawings. Last week I did a regular video and a video covering my first week of Inktober. So for October I'm doing 2 videos a week, just so that my Inktober content doesn't get too long. If you're interested in catching up on my Inktober on a daily basis, I do post every single day on my Instagram what I'm drawing, but I decided to post on a weekly basis on YouTube just so everyone gets to see what I've done. So I'm following the official prompt list, and for day 8 the prompt was star. For me, I had a real easy time doing this one because I use the theme of stars and galaxy and that sort of thing in my illustrations a lot. So I have a character, her name is Talia, and she's star themed, so I just decided to draw her. I'm really happy with the way that her face, her hair, and the hand foreshortening turned out. If I were to do this again, I think I would just do something that would make the star stand out from herself a bit more, and that would be very easy in colour, but because it's just inks, it was a bit of a challenge. For day 9, I actually went through, I think this was the 3rd concept. I originally did one concept where I had my character Therese holding a heart out in front of her, but somebody pointed out that it just looked like she was, thrusting her chest out, which I wasn't too in favour of. And then I had like a folk dancing type of scene going on, and then the 3rd concept was this. And the interpretation of the prompt for this concept is that there's a little bit of a story behind it, of this girl is giving her heart away for the first time. It's her first love. She's like 12 or 13, and it's precious because it's the first time she's ever opening her heart up to someone. And I'll come back to this because over the next couple of days I ended up getting even a further developed story out of this that I'm very excited about. But yeah, this was my day 9 precious of a girl falling in love for the first time. For day 10, the prompt was flooring, and my original idea for flooring was to do some sort of water bending, like from Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I really see a lot of flow and overall capturing of this concept within the martial arts that they use for water bending, as well as, you think of a flowing river, a flowing waterfall, that kind of thing. It really embodies flowing. But then I was like, not really feeling it when I sat down to actually draw, because I've been thinking of these prompts constantly since I decided to use the prompts and I saw them. So like in the back of my mind, I'm still keeping track of like prompts even a week from now to try to come up with ideas. And yeah, so for flooring, when I sat down to draw my water bending, I wasn't really feeling it. So instead I decided to go for more of a dancing theme. And I still think that there's quite a bit of flow in the girl's pose, and the guy's a good supplement for that. And I just really, really like the way that the guy's expression and face turned out and the overall look of it. The girl's hands also turned out really good. For day 11, the prompt was cruel, and this was a little bit simpler than other Inktober's I've done, but I just kind of had this image of Isaiah from Durarara with the little knife and the way that he was like, I don't know, I feel like that kind of expression and the little pocket knife is a good way to interpret creepy kind of cruel. It seems like a more grounded way to depict cruelty. And this was also a lot quick. Well, filling in the black was not quick, but it like concepting wise it was a lot quicker. And the grey tones, I don't know if this constitutes as cheating or not, but the grey tones in this version of the illustration sort of happened when I put it into Photoshop to adjust, because every single Inktober so far I've taken a photo on my phone, put it in Photoshop to keep it like a square dimension and to have the little, logo in the corner. And I clean up the brightness and contrast to make it seem a little bit more clean and visible. And I didn't really take the best photo of this on my phone because it was like nighttime when I had to photograph this. Well, I don't know if it was nighttime, I can't really remember, but like it was not in good lighting conditions. So when I went to clean it up, I couldn't actually manage a way to get rid of the shadows without completely making all the cross-hatching invisible. But then I kind of looked at it and I saw that the grey tones looked kind of cool, so I didn't actually physically with ink put these grey tones around his side, but I kept it just because I thought it looked cool. For day 12, this was another one that when I first saw the prompt list, I was like, what am I gonna do here? But then the more I thought about it, I got this idea in my mind. So the prompt for day 12 is whale, and I had this idea of One Piece meets Life of Pi. So the movie For Life of Pi has this scene where there's a bunch of bioluminescent bacteria and it's in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden this hunchback whale, I think it was, jumps out of the water and splashes, and it's all very dramatic. And yeah, so I had this image of just seeing this whale in the nighttime just jump out of the water. You have kind of reflections of the moonlight and the stars, and then you just kind of have Luffy standing on a cliff watching, being his Luffy self. I don't know why I thought of Luffy from One Piece, but he just felt like the person to put there. And what I would have done different if I was to do this again digitally was I would probably make it so you could see the different levels better, because Luffy's very close to the one fin of the whale, and it's kind of hard to tell that Luffy's more in the foreground and the whale's more in the background. So if I had colour and midtones instead of just hatching, I would have tried to push the whale a little further back and put Luffy a little closer to us so that that distinction would be clearer. But besides that, I really like this. Was my first time drawing a whale, and it was my first time in a long time drawing water like this. And yeah, I'm really quite happy with the way that it turned out. Day 13, and here's where we come in with the story here. So for day 13, the prompt was guarded, and I just googled guarded, and I saw a couple images of like a heart made out of steel or a heart in a cage and stuff like that. So I decided to go for the heart in a cage, but I wanted to make it my own, so I put on a character. But then when I'd already sketched out like his pose and his clothes, I had to draw his face and his hair, and I was like, do I have any character that would fit this prompt? And I was like, no, my characters are either too guarded to the point where they would not have this kind of body language, or not guarded enough. If they have this body language, they wouldn't be guarded. So I ended up just like trying to think, and usually when I don't have a character in mind, I do this kind of default hairstyle where the sides are shaved but the top is going up, because that's a hairstyle that like I see a lot in my day-to-day life, like my classmates, people around my college and stuff like that. They have that kind of hair a lot, so that's my default hair for them. But I just drawn that default hair for day 10 flooring, and I was like, okay, well, what if guarded is the guy from flooring? Who's the girl from flooring? And then I just turned another page back in my sketchbook. Precious! The little girl from Precious that was nervous about giving her heart away for the first time. And the guy from Guarded, here they are at like age 12 or 13. He's guarded about his first relationship and like a bit apprehensive, and he's not sure how it's going to go, but he wants to be open. And then Precious is really nervous, and she fell too fast because it's her first time, and she's so innocent and stuff like that. And I imagine that in the in-between, they have all these like struggles and conflicts and like things to overcome, because she's very nervous and shy and precious, and she went too fast, and he's very guarded and scared, and he doesn't really understand what's going on within himself as much. But then later down the line, when they're like 17, 18, you see them in my drawing of Flooring, where she's completely trusted him to catch her, and he's fully open towards her. And so that's my story that developed over this week of Inktober, and it was completely not planned until I drew Guarded just now. And it made me really happy to discover that there's this story here. It just made me so happy. And for day 14, which is the last one that we're going to be covering in this video, the prompt was clock. And again, this went through a couple stages of concepting. My original idea for clock was to draw Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast, but to draw him as like a hot guy. I know Bailey J has as a hot guy kind of a series, but I really wanted to draw him like not as an ironic hot guy, as trying to like an anime, manga, shoujo style hot guy. But then I figured if I just drew a hot guy that had like a mustache like Cogsworth, you wouldn't really read it as Cogsworth. So I was like, alright, let's include the Disney cartoony Cogsworth and then draw the hot one. But then when I'd already drawn the cartoony one, I was just like, I'm not really feeling the hot guy. So I ended up drawing this little girl. She's probably around 7 or 8, and she's just lost a tooth, and she's dressed up as Belle, but she is not Belle. She's a little girl playing with a Cogsworth. I think either a plush or a toy, I can't decide. But yeah, I gave her freckles and a missing tooth to denote that this is not Belle, but she looks like Belle. But yeah, this has been my week 2 of Inktober. I post videos every Friday, and I'm going to post videos on Mondays to recap my Inktober. You can follow my Instagram, the link is in the description, to keep up to date on a daily basis with my Inktober posts. I'm still following the official prompt list. I'm still having a great time. I'm only slightly losing my mind over keeping on top of all my assignments and Inktober's and everything I have to get done, but I'm alright. Everything's great. Everything's absolutely fantastically great. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.